Controversy is brewing over whether Jacksonville Sheriff Mike Williams should be able to keep his job after it was discovered he actually sold his Jacksonville home a year ago and has been living in Nassau County.
Joining us live now are political analysts Rick Mullaney, Chris Hand. Thank you both for joining us. You know, both of you have been chief of staff for the office of mayor. Rick, you also have been the city's general counsel longer than anyone else has, 13 years.
So, Rick, we want to start with you. You know, Jacksonville city government is unique when it comes to local rules versus state rules.
Yeah, but let me comment on that. I think one of the misperceptions is that this is a conflict between state law and local law. I don't believe it is. Another framing of this is that state law is trumping local law or local law is trumping state law. I don't think that's the case either. I believe what we have here is state law is silent on the issue, for example, for local governments to have term limits, and it's also silent on residency requirements. And local chartered counties, such as Duval County, are entitled in their charter to provide for term limits, which are valid. They're also entitled to provide for a residency requirement. Now, this has been much litigated over the last 20 years. It's understandable there would be some confusion, but in the end, I think what is going to happen is the legal conclusion will be that the charter residency requirement does apply here in Duval County for the sheriff.
So, Chris, you wrote a book about consolidated government, citizen engagement. If the sheriff moved out of Duval County a year ago, should he have told someone? And if he did, who enacts this rule? Who follows up on this?
Well, Joe, I think one question is why questions weren't posed to the office that Rick used to lead, the Office of General Counsel. As you know, under our charter, that office represents every entity in the consolidated government. The General Counsel has the power to issue binding legal opinions to decide matters of local law. That would have been the key office to consult with to determine, is a move to another county going to invalidate my service as sheriff? As the sheriff has indicated in some of his public comments, it sounds like that didn't happen. But of course, there are conversations with the Office of General Counsel now to determine the status of that charter provision.
So what do you think the outcome is going to be? A few questions. Will he be forced also to have a residence in Jacksonville, maybe asked to leave his post? And could there be a special election for his position?
Well, Tarek, the language in Section 8.03 of the Charter is very clear. If a sheriff dies or resigns or removes his residence from Duval County, the office of the sheriff is vacated. That's very specific language, language that we have to give the plain reading to. If the Office of General Counsel confirms that that is the applicable law in this matter, the office of sheriff would have been vacated when Sheriff Williams moved from Duval County to Nassau County. So it wouldn't be a question of resignation at that point. It'd be the office of the function of a vacated office, which would now need to be filled by special election and potentially temporary gubernatorial appointment.
So we're all waiting for an answer here. Rick, the city council president asked the general counsel for a ruling tomorrow. That's been moved to Thursday. Of course, this was a holiday weekend, but why is this taking so long to figure out? Can't they just look this up and get an answer?
You know, when you're general counsel, you always get asked that question, and I always want more time. And the reason, in part, you want more time is this is consequential, it's significant, and it's not nearly as simple as we're portraying it. The one issue, of course, is the applicability of the charter and the residency requirement. But assume he finds, as I think he will, that that does apply, you go to a second issue. Is there a way to resolve this without litigation? Is there another solution? What if the sheriff moves back into the county? And if none of that happens, then you go to what Chris was just talking about. In fact, under the charter, if it's vacated, then the governor would appoint, in fact, an acting sheriff, and you have to have a special election no longer than 6 months away and no sooner than 1 month out. So there's a lot here to be researched, a lot to be reviewed. Heck, I would have asked for more time.
Right.
Wow, yeah.
We'll find out Thursday. Thank you, political analysts Rick Mullaney and Chris Hand, for your insight today.
Thank you very much. Well, we may not know what Sheriff Williams' future as the leader of the city's police force will look like until Thursday. News4Jax reporter Jim Pickett explains a little bit more about why city council leaders moved that deadline that's coming up at 6. And a reminder, we want to hear from you. What do you think about the sheriff moving out of Jacksonville? Just head to our website, news4jax.com. Click on this story. It's right on the homepage to weigh in.